All right, people are already saying aloha, Ian. This is great.
Aloha, Emily. Is that Emily Williams? No, Emily. How you doing?
Well, first of all,
Sharif, George Jenkins, Steve Stewart. Hi, how you doing?
I want to say hi to everybody. Welcome to Zavvy. We're super excited because today we're launching, and Ian's actually launching the Ian Burrell Global Rum Ambassador Show on Zavvy. This is something that we should expect almost every Monday. It's a very big commitment. Ian's is usually traveling around the world. Right now, I think his family has to be very happy too. Have him lock down at the house. Most of the time I'm talking with Ian, it's like, oh, I'm taking my kids to sleep, and it's like, oh, what a good father. But certainly it's an honor to have Ian join the Zavvy Network. Today's agenda, really quickly, we already did the introduction. For those who are joining us for the first time, we have a chat box. A lot of people are writing right now, which is awesome. If you can let us know which city, which country you're visiting us from, that way actually Ian can know if he's actually a true global brand ambassador. I know he is.
It's true. Or a favorite Phoenix. I've been there.
We're not expecting anybody from Antarctica, but if there is anybody from Antarctica, it would be astonishing.
No penguins.
We do have an area for ask questions at the end of the event. Feel free to ask any questions that you want. It will be super helpful. We certainly, Ian certainly wants to do a cool Q&A. Sorry, Ian, you were saying?
Oh no, just saw Maggie was coming line from Ipswich. But not Ipswich in East Anglia here in the UK. It's Ipswich, Massachusetts.
If you can please share the event, we'll highly appreciate it. So a lot more of your friends can join us. It'll be phenomenal. Today's agenda, we're going to go through 30-40 minutes on our main presentation. Then Ian already jumped into that part of it, but we're going to go to the rum o'clock where we start drinking some rum and answering all the questions available. So all right, let's deep dive really quickly. Let's let me.
Hey, is that Marta? Is that Martha from Jamaica? That's not Marta from
Martha from
Monimus Rum. Just checking. It's the CFO. Yes. The CFO from Monimus.
Wow.
We're gonna get you on the show. We're gonna get Martha. You're gonna get you on the show, interviewing you in a couple of weeks. So.
Oh, that would be phenomenal. For those who don't know Ian, well, today's main topic is because rum is more than a spirit, it's a way of life. Ian Burrell, one of the most traveled figures within the drink industry. Ian has redefined the definition of an international spirit ambassador, an ex-professional basketball player in the UK, and international recording artist. He has now established himself as the world's only global brand rum ambassador for the rum category. Good friend. I met Ian probably 13 years ago when I was trying to set up and follow his lead to start the Puerto Rico National Rum Festival. At that time was really interesting. You Google rum aficionados, rum expert, and I remember only 8 people came out. And then on the top of the list was Ian Burrell. So those 8 people, I invited them to the Puerto Rico Rum Festival. I don't know if you remember, Ian.
I remember coming out there. I still got the photos and everything. Yeah, it was a great honor to be out there. But it was my first time to Puerto Rico as well. So I loved it. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I think Ian was the tallest guy in the entire event. Everybody was really But before that, I see, Ian, we have a lot of people from everywhere that have come to visit you. They're writing all their names from Sweden, UK,
Sweden,
Jamaica,
Virgin Islands, Kim Holland in the Virgin Islands there. Matt down. Hey, Matt, how you doing down in Bournemouth?
Belgium, Phoenix, that's Oregon. That's phenomenal. All right. Well, let me introduce Ian and put him on the big screen so he can say hi to everybody. Everybody wants to see Ian's there.
Hey, how you doing, guys out there? It's good that what's cool. I hope you guys are staying at home and watching us from at home. It's good that what's cool. We can all chill and hang out, have some rums. Chew the Fact. Hey, Crystal, Miguel from Barbados, and Daniel in Peru. Hey, Daniel. It's good that we can chew the fat, have a bit of fun, talk rum, and just fire some questions. And I'm here to learn as much as anyone. So that's the great thing about rum. And I don't really know drink rum at home, but if I'm going to drink rum at home, it's always good to do it with friends. So cheers, guys.
Thank you so much. Really quickly, guys, we prepared a list of questions for Ian. Let me go over here. If anybody wants me to change the screen throughout the event, we certainly can. Certainly, let me show the questions really quickly that we're going to go through. We have 6 questions for today. We'll go one
6.
by one.
Ooh, some toughies.
And then hopefully Ian is prepared for this. I'm sure he is. He's always prepared.
I'll just make it up as I go along.
All right, Ian.
I'll just call Maggie, and Maggie will just give us the answers.
Oh no, for sure. She's got you covered. All right, Ian. So let's start. First of all, what is your goal with the launch of the Ian Burrell Global Rum Ambassador Show?
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So the whole idea was just to have a bit of fun. There's a lot of presentations, a lot of talks online, and some great talks out there, and it was just to have a bit of fun with some of my friends in the rum industry, and also learn about not only what they do within rum, but what they do outside rum, what their pet peeves are, what makes them tick, what makes them laugh, what sport do they follow. It's really just discovering the real people behind the rum industry. So that was the whole idea, and that's the whole idea and the ethos of creating a rum platform, a rum show. And then when you told me about this platform, I just thought it'd be a great idea to do something on here, an hour long show, like once a week or once every 2 weeks, depends. Might get evicted, he might kick us off after the first week, but yeah, having a bit of fun with as I said, people from around the world that are making rum, that are behind the scenes, that either don't get the recognition or get the recognition, but you want to see a different side of them. So I just thought it'd be a nice fun way, because as you know, with me, everything's about fun with me. I love life, love the industry, and love rum. So yeah, I just wanted to do something slightly different. So that's the whole idea. So I'm actually the first guest on the actual show, but next week it'll be 2 other guests on the show. So so that's the whole idea. Sometimes it might be like 2 contrasting guests. It might not even be a rum person. It might be someone from another industry that loves rum. Maybe one of my celebrity friends might want to come up there and give their pearls of wisdoms. We'll even have people like chefs doing like some presentations on how they use rum and cooking. So they might make a quick little video. We just add the video in so you can get maybe some inspiration while you're locked down in how to use rums in certain ways. So yeah, just want to have fun with rum, because rum, as I said, as the title says, rum is more than the spirit. It's actually a way of life. So it's drunk, it's eaten, it's ingested in many, many different ways around the world.
Are we gonna see like? Oh, are you getting echo?
No, I'm not getting echo. No, I'm fine.
Is anybody getting echo, or everybody hearing me well? I think we're good. Okay.
I can hear your squeaky voice. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So my question was, is there going to be like a version of Ian without the hat and Ian with the hat? Like sometimes like you're like.
No. The only time I wear, when I don't wear the hat is when I don't want people to know it's me. So when I'm like, I sneak into a bar, what's called undercover, and I wear a baseball cap. And then I'm just standing inside the corner. I'm just another black dude inside the bar. When I wear the hat, they're like, isn't that? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's me. So yeah, the hat has to be there. It's part of the branding.
It's actually part of the logo. Yeah, you're right. It's part of.
Oh, see, there you go. Yeah, it's part of the logo.
Yeah. Ian, when did rum become part of your life?
In all honesty, it was probably when I was about 4 days old. My grandmother said my mum put a little bit of rum on my lips to help me to sleep, or put me to sleep, depending on who's telling the story. Both of them are Jamaican, so that's a Jamaican way of things, like put a baby to sleep, bit of rum on the lip to help them sleep. It was actually, let's see if I can find it. This is the rum, my first rum. I mean,
overproof rum.
Last rum I'll ever drink. It was the first rum I ever drunk. King of rums, Uncle Ray. So that's the holy water in Jamaica. as such. So yeah, so I've had rum in my blood ever since I knew it. So, but when I left school and decided to get a job in a bar, in a cocktail bar, just basically it was only going to be for a couple of months before I got a real job. I realized I really love making cocktails with rums as well, and it just brought a new dimension to the actual spirit, to the whole lifestyle of it. And so 6 months turned into over 20 years of being in the industry, because of the love not only of rum, of cocktails, of the people that surround it, but the way that it still brings a lot of people together, like no other industry that I know of can do. So yeah, so I've been in it pretty much, well, not pretty much, most of my life, most of my living life, because I don't know what's happening in the future. But yeah, rum has been part of my life ever since I knew about it.
As a basketball player, were you drinking rum?
Yes, I was. See, when I played basketball in the UK, well, here in the UK, it wasn't as professional as the basketball leagues that you have out in the States as such. Yeah, we got a small amount of money, but it wasn't enough money to live on. So I was actually still playing basketball and bartending as well. So I'd be like juggling, depending on when we play the games. There'll be times where I'll do shifts like early on in the week, and then come the weekends, up and down the country playing basketball. So yeah, all depending on who we played against, which league I was playing at that particular time, and also time it is the season. But yeah, I still have a couple of drinks while we're playing, especially after the game, when we're celebrating, a couple of rums, and then I'll try and get everyone else into rum as well. People drinking English were drinking beer, and like, forget the beer crap, drink rum. So yeah, still drinking rum all that time.
Okay, now let's talk about a little bit about the rum classification, especially the evolution of rum classification. This is a big topic right now. But let's talk about rum classification. How was it 10 years ago? Or how was it 5 years ago? And what is rum classification? Where does it stand today?
Well, I mean, when we talk about rum classification, we're basically trying to classify, we're trying to clarify exactly what rum is. Back in the days, and you say 10 years, but if we go back even further, say 20 years, when the noughties started, most people's perception, when you went to menus, you went into bars, you went to restaurants around the world, there'll only be a limited amount of rums available, but they were classified just by color. It'd be just like white, gold, and dark, which is fine for that particular medium, for that particular audience, because most of the white rums pretty much tasted the same. So it's fine then. But then as a lot of other white or lighter rum started being offered to various different bars, it really made a mockery of that type of classification as such, because you look at something like say Bacardi. Bacardi is the biggest white rum in the world, in the Bacardi Blanco or Bacardi Carta Blanco, or the Superior, biggest white rum in the world. But then you compare that with the biggest white rum that's sold in Jamaica, which I showed, the Ray Nephew, which has now very, very prominent on bars in the UK and around Europe, even in Australia, where it's illegal to actually have you sit on bars in Australia. It's illegal because Ray Nephew is unaged, and in Australia you have to be aged for a minimum of 2 years before you can be defined as a rum. So you look at those two rums, they're totally different, but they're both white. One's an overproof rum, over 57.15% ABV, but 63% alcohol by volume, molasses, pot and column still, true Jamaican funk. And then the other is Puerto Rican, lighter style, a blend of like Redestilado and Aguardiente, and it's blended together to make it much more lighter and sold at 80 proof here in the States, out there in the States, and 37.5 here in the UK. Two totally different products. And the Bacardi is aged, and the Ray Nephew's unaged. But that's just two rums, and they're both sold under the same category as white rum, and that can't be right, because you'd never do that with wines. Do a Sauvignon Blanc service in the same way as you'd have a Riesling. You're going to talk about the grapes, you're going to talk about the regions. So it's the classification for rums has grown with the knowledge of the people that are buying it or promoting it and marketing it. And bartenders' knowledge of rums has gotten better and better and better. So it started going from just naming a rum or classifying a rum by color into starting to mention the country of origin. And then you had someone like Luca Gargano very recently that upped the ante. Now, Luca, I see, is like the godfather of rum. And when he came up with the notion and the idea of classifying rums in a similar way that certain whiskies are classified by calling rum single rums, similar to single malts or traditional rums or single blended rums, I thought it was quite novel. Thought it was quite new. I thought it was quite refreshing. I also realized it had limitations, and the limitations were the consumers that were buying the actual rum. If you were an expert in rum or a rum aficionado, someone who knew the master distiller or the blender that made a particular brand, you could actually tell, I could put like 4 stereotypical rums in front of you. You could smell it and taste it and know exactly or have an idea of what region they're from. Then a classification like that is going to work for you. You could understand what single rum means. You can understand what traditional rum means and single blended. But for the general consumer, 90% of all rum drinkers in the world, they don't give a shit. As long as it tastes good, as long as the rum tastes good, they don't care what it is as such. So the classification has evolved. It's evolving. But I still feel personally that the country of origin is going to be the major contributor in defining what a rum is. Once a country has a reputation or a region has a reputation, as a consumer, any consumer, whether you're an aficionado, whether you're a novice, whether you're just getting in, you're far further into the category, but you're still not up to that expert level, you're still going to refer to a rum from a particular region. And we're seeing that with certain regions today. We look at Barbados. Put Barbados on a label of a rum, and there are certain people that will automatically default to a style of rum. You put Jamaica on a rum label, there are certain people that will default to a certain style of rum from that region. And that's how I want to see rums go, because that's what's happening in the category that we're always compared to, whiskey. Yeah, you put Scotch on a label, you default to something in that type of whiskey. You put bourbon, Kentucky bourbon, you think of a certain style of whiskey. Irish whiskey, you think of a certain style of whiskey. Even Japanese whiskey, which technically doesn't have any rules, you think of a certain style of whiskey. So I think the regions are going to be an important part of classifying or understanding the styles of rums that are out there, just for the general consumer. And then we can get into the whole technical aspect of how they're distilled and what types of still. Because hey, I tell you, you get 100 whiskey drinkers, just general consumers, whiskey drinkers inside a room that drink Scottish whiskey, and say to them, what does single malt mean? I guarantee you're going to get 4 or 5 different answers from those people, because they won't know exactly what single malt means. But what it does mean to all of them is that it's quality, it's consistent, it's from Scotland, so it must be fairly good. And that's how I want to see rums from various different regions be spoken about in the same type of light. You hear Jamaica, you hear Barbados, you hear Cuba, you hear Puerto Rico. I want people to default to a particular style, and then they can then delve into the islands or the country or the region and talk about the variants of that particular rum from that area. And it's a long answer, but hey, it's a complicated question.
No, but it's a good north, right? And hopefully a lot of people are hearing this. Your good recommendation, and it leads to that. It makes a lot of sense. I do like the Lucas Gargano recommendation classification. I also do believe it's like the Harvard version of learning about the classification of a spirit, which is really good for rum aficionados. And well, once you put a little bit of more dedication to it, or time to learning about the spirit. But as you were saying, 90% of the world is generic, right? So
they look at it generic, but it's easier for them to default to a particular region, than it is for the types of still that is distilled in. If someone said to me, Ian, I want you to try this Jamaican single rum, I'm like, okay. First thing that's coming to my mind, it's from Jamaica, so it's abided by the rules of Jamaica. Secondly, because the fact it's a single rum, I'm saying, well, it must be from a single distillery. And the fact that they didn't say sugarcane rum, or using the word agricole illegally, well, French will say it's illegally, using the word agricole, then it must be from molasses. So I'm automatically defaulting to a Jamaican molasses pot still rum or batch distilled rum from one single distillery, just by 3 words: Jamaica single rum. That can't harm the category. That can't harm the category at all. Plus, the other thing as well, it doesn't tell me if the rum is good or bad. It just tells me how it's made, where it's made, and what rules and regulation of that particular geographical indicator is talking about that particular product. So that's how I look at it. I see that someone's said, how do I classify Equiano under that system? Quite easy. It's a blended rum. That's it. It's an African Caribbean rum, because it's actually blended from rums from Africa and rums from the Caribbean. So yeah, it's an African Caribbean rum. It's not a Barbados rum. It's not a Mauritian rum. It's not a Jamaican rum. It's an African Caribbean rum.